Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, Prime Minister chairs a high-level security meeting at his residence in Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff and the three Defence Services Chief present in the meeting. Mark Carney's Liberal Party wins the Canadian election, vows to represent everyone in his victory speech, says Trump will never own Canada. Prime Minister Modi congratulates Carney. Over 99% of power restored in mainland Spain. Authorities set up a commission to investigate what triggered the blackout, rule out cyber attack. The big story at this hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level security meeting a little while back at his official residence in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan and the Chiefs of Army, Navy and Air Force were also present in the meeting. The development comes just a day before the meeting of the Prime Minister-led Cabinet Committee on Security. And for more on that, I'm joined by my colleague Amit Mukherjee, who's tracking the story. Amit, do we know some details as to what really transpired in this meeting that the Prime Minister chaired of the top security establishment of the country?
Yes, Amrit, in fact, this was a very, very critical meeting which Prime Minister chaired. And in fact, you rightly mentioned the Chief of Defence Staff was there, the National Security Advisor was there. All the three heads of India's defence wings, they were there. Now, this meeting took stock of what is the prevailing situation, what had happened in the last 4 days. Now, if you recall, Pakistan has repeatedly been creating, some sort of unrest along the LOC, which the Indian Defence Forces were actually retaliating to. In fact, Indians have only been taking retaliatory measures as to the unprovoked firing which has been happening from the Pakistan side. Now, during this meeting, it is understood that Prime Minister has given a free hand to all the defence forces to take actions as and when required. There's no looking back now. One has to be India will be giving befitting reply at every point. Now, apart from what has been happening at the LOC, the Prime Minister also took a review of the defence preparedness, whether it's the Navy, whether it's the Army or the Air Force. What is our preparedness at this point in time? In fact, the Prime Minister's meeting, if I can mention it, it was a back-to-back meeting. One meeting was chaired by Prime Minister, and before that, Home Minister Amit Shah had also chaired a high-level meeting of to take stock of the internal security of the country. In fact, he had meetings with senior leaders from the intelligence wing and the various other wings which looks after India's internal security. And he has also in fact, during the whole day, as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, the security forces in Jammu and Kashmir has been involved in a lot of combing operations, flushing out operations. In fact, they had zeroed in on a lot of terrorist sites when they are taking actions on that. If one can recall, the terrorists who were allegedly involved in this whole incident, their houses have been razed, and also they have identified accomplices, who could have given them the ground level support to carry out this incident where 28 people were killed. So, I mean, it's a comprehensive meeting that has been taking place over the last 4 or 5 hours, and it's a complete stock-taking situation as to what has happened so far. How do we go ahead? In fact, another thing is that, another crucial thing which came up during the discussion is also the cyber attacks which has been happening, from the Pakistan side onto various military installations and websites of, army and defense institutions of India. In fact, 10K hackers identified from Pakistani sides, they have been constantly trying to disrupt, the websites of Indian, defense as well as other institutions, which Indian cyber experts have constantly been kind of thwarting. I mean, they had kind of not let those hackers penetrate into the Indian this thing. So, I mean, it's a multi-pronged strategy, and that was discussed during the meeting, and what sort of a response India would have to each and every kind of disruption and all sorts of
violations by the
violations which Pakistan has been indulging, whether it's at the LOC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amit, you say essentially he took the meeting took stock of the security of the defense preparedness of the country, and also gave a free hand to the defense forces to respond accordingly and in equal measure for any kind of adventurism that the Pakistan army may indulge in, which is ongoing for the past 6 days in ceasefire violations. But those are really defensive measures. The Prime Minister has said at least on 2 occasions that the perpetrators of the Pahalgam attack and their backers shall be brought to justice. After that, this whole talk started about would there be military retribution of the kind that we saw in 2016 or 2019. So could offensive measures have been discussed as well, or the options on the table, the military options on the table?
Well, Amrit, nothing is ruled out at this point in time. If you look back at what the Prime Minister had said, that he is going to now strike, India is now going to strike at the root of terrorism. It's not that it's for the first time Pakistan has been indulging in all sorts of disruptive activities time and again, and India has been responding. But India has always been a very, very responsible country. It has been, whether it's in terms of being an economic leader or in terms of doing business or maintaining diplomatic relations with various leaders and countries across the world. So India's response has always been very, very measured. But at this point in time, as far as the recent incident is concerned, Prime Minister has categorically maintained that nobody will be spared. People who have been disrupting peace, tranquility and economic development in India will be punished. They will be brought to justice. And precisely this has what been discussed. Again, going by what India has always been doing, believing in measured actions. Nothing is ruled out, but yes, preparedness has been taken care of. Every situation that has been happening has been evaluated, looked into, and Prime Minister has given a clear-cut instruction to all the defense forces that in case of any eventuality, any unpleasant situation, any unprovoked situation by Pakistan, a befitting action, a befitting reply must be given. But again, coming back to your question, we are not ruling out any military action at this point in time. The Indian forces are ready. That's exactly what this meeting was for. Not only at the borders, the government is also taking very, very strict action, very, very decisive actions as far as dealing with insurgents who are, if intelligence bureaus inputs are still to be believed, there are militants who are still holed up in the valley, which the Indian authorities and the defense as well as the security forces are trying to flush out. They're trying to pull them out from their hideouts. Amrit?
Okay. And Amit, when it comes to, because all the 3 service chiefs were there, Defense Minister, of course, was there, and the CDS was there.
Right.
CDS primarily has been brought in that office to coordinate a more effective response between all the 3 forces. So, I know this is in the realm of speculation. The government wouldn't announce it if they have to take any military offensive, because if they announce it, then the surprise element goes out. And the enemy, prepares itself for that. But, I understand it's a speculative question, but could it be a tri-services operation, if at all that is on the table? And as you say, nothing is ruled out.
Well, Amrit, you have been covering defense and you also understand and you have seen in the past. I mean, whenever India has mounted any offensive against Pakistan or its neighbors or rogue neighbors in the past, if I may say so, it has been a combined effort of all the forces. Whenever there's military involved, they get a fantastic support as far as the air defense is concerned. And also, we have seen in the past that Indian naval fleets have been very, very active in terms of diffusing any efforts by the
Not
rogue
just
neighbors.
refusing, imposing naval blockades, as we did in the case of Karachi Harbour, remember?
That's exactly what I was trying to say. In the past also, we saw the kind of support, the multilateral support which the Indian defense forces and the kind of coordination they have been having in the past. And it was, all the war which India has won in the past, it was a combined effort of all the defense forces who gave their, they played a each played a very, very crucial and important role as far as the entire, offensive was concerned against any enemy which kind of challenged India in the past. So even this time, and this was again all the defense chiefs of the three wings of defense forces, the CDS, they came together, and that again is symbolic of the kind of coordination we might look into going ahead with the action, military action which India might launch
If and
at
when,
some point,
if and when it
if
takes
and when
place.
required.
And
they
if
are
is, if is, sorry.
to say the least, they are absolutely prepared at any given point in time right now.
Clear, absolutely. So the signaling, Amit, is very clear. If you come into our home and hit us where it hurts, we'll hit you back, whether on the seas, whether on land, whether on air, without at the risk of sounding jingoistic. But the message is very, very clear. If you hit us, we'll hit you back. Thank you, Amit Mukherjee, for joining us for the moment. And in the aftermath of the recent Pahalgam terrorist attack, India has taken strong measure against Pakistan, including the revocation of 14 categories of visas previously granted to Pakistani nationals. Pakistani visitors to India admitted on medical visa must exit by this evening. It's about time they would have exited. We would know the numbers in a little while from now, because the borders at the Atari-Wagah border will have closed down. They generally close at about 5:30, extended to about 6:30. So that would have closed down by now, and all on medical visas would have exited. Today was the last date. Those who are exiting, they are exiting in a staggered manner. This includes the SARC visas, which expired on the 26th. The medical visas expired today. Other visas expired on 27th of this month. Diplomatic and official visas, however, remain valid. If they have to be revoked, as in case of the defense attaches, they were. That is decided by the government. The timeline is decided by the government. However, long-term visas issued to Pakistani citizens remain valid. There shall be no restriction on issue of new diplomatic and official visas, which are basically your diplomatic staff, your embassy staff, or the long-term visas. But no medical visas for now, no tourist visas for now. Sorry, Pakistanis, you can forget that. A team of National Investigation Agency visited the Baisaran forest to investigate the deadly Pahalgam terror attack. The team recreated the scene and collected evidence. Officials from Jammu and Kashmir Police and CRPF battalions were also present. A disturbing video capturing the Pahalgam terror attack has surfaced on social media, showing the chilling moments when the terrorists attacked the Baisaran Valley on April 22nd. The footage, accidentally recorded by a tourist riding on a zip line, shows people fleeing in panic as gunfire erupts. Rishi Bhatt, the tourist, said he narrowly escaped because he was mid-air on the zip line when the terrorists opened fire. Towards the end of the video, a body can be seen lying motionless on the ground. According to reports, the NIA has taken the zipline operator in for questioning. You can see the man smiling in the video. Rishi Bhatt perhaps did not realize what is happening at that time. He was busy filming himself, and you can see in the background the mayhem unfold. It would not have struck to him that such a ghastly tragedy is taking place down on ground, and he's accidentally recording it. And amidst allegations of spreading false narratives and misinformation, the ex-account of Pakistan Defence Minister Khwaja Asif has been blocked in India. Earlier on Monday, the Indian government blocked 16 Pakistani YouTube channels with a total of 63 million subscribers. They have been banned in India for spreading provocative and communally sensitive content in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack. The YouTube channels have been banned on the Union Home Ministry's recommendations. Still to come up on this edition of DD India Live, Syria deploys forces as sectarian clashes break out near Damascus, over a dozen killed. Japanese Prime Minister meets the Philippines President. Both discuss deepening defense and economic ties.
नमस्कार। आज भी लोग मुझसे पूछते हैं कि सिनेमा का असली मकसद क्या है। मैं कहता हूं कि सिनेमा सिर्फ एक कहानी नहीं, एक एहसास है जो दिल तक जाए, जो यादों में रहे, जो दुनिया को जोड़ दे। वर्ल्ड ऑडियो विजुअल एंड एंटरटेनमेंट समिट वेव्स इज द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर ऑफ दैट जर्नी, जहां सिर्फ एंटरटेनमेंट ही नहीं, एक नया युग लिखा जाएगा। तो क्या आप इस कहानी का हिस्सा बनने के लिए तैयार हैं?
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. An unprecedented power outage left millions of people in Spain, Portugal and parts of France without electricity since mid-afternoon Monday. The massive power outages saw widespread disruption, and a state of emergency remains in place in Spain. The power has almost been fully restored to parts of more than 99% of the mainland in Spain. Here's a report.
Lights flickered back to life in Spain and Portugal on Tuesday after a massive blackout hit the area, stranding passengers in trains and hundreds of elevators, while millions saw phone and internet coverage die. Overnight into Tuesday, about 90% of power was restored to Spain's national grid, and lights have come back on into the Portuguese capital of Lisbon. Residents cheered as power returned in Madrid after the outage, but no firm cause for the shutdown has yet emerged. Earlier, a sweeping power outage left millions of people in Spain, Portugal, and parts of France without electricity on Monday, leading to chaotic scenes and widespread disruption. Houses, offices, trains, traffic lights, and even the Madrid Open Tennis tournament were all hit. A day of widespread disruption paralyzed public transport, caused large traffic jams, and delayed airline flights as utility operators scrambled to restore the grid. Portuguese Prime Minister Montenegro said the source of the outage was probably in Spain. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez said all the potential causes were being analyzed.
En lo que respecta a las causas,
what has caused this sudden disappearance of supply? This is something that specialists have not yet been able to determine, but they will, and the relevant state institutions and all private operators are working together to understand what has happened. All potential causes are being analyzed. I insist again, without ruling any hypothesis, any possibility.
y las instituciones del Estado.
Widespread outages are unusual in Europe. The latest incident is likely to surpass Europe's largest blackout to date, when over 50 million people in Italy and Switzerland were left without electricity for up to 12 hours in 2003. Anamika Pandey reporting for DD India.
Syrian forces have been deployed to Jeremina after more than a dozen people were killed in sectarian clashes in a predominantly Druze town near capital Damascus. According to a rights group, the deceased include members of the Druze minority community. Syrian authorities have blamed gunmen for the incident and have vowed to pursue those involved. The clashes mark the latest episode of deadly sectarian violence in Syria, where fears among minorities have been rising since rebels ousted former President Bashar al-Assad. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba met with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Tuesday, aiming to deepen security and economic cooperation between the two of Washington's closest allies in Asia. During the talks, Ishiba addressed the global ripple effects of the ongoing US-China trade dispute and pledged to consider the concerns of Japanese businesses operating in Philippines. The two leaders also discussed expanding defense ties under Japan's official security assistance program, of which the Philippines is a key early recipient. In a move to boost bilateral security cooperation, Ishiba reveals that discussions have begun on a potential information security agreement that would allow for exchange of confidential intelligence. Canada's federal election has ended with a dramatic turn of events. Former central banker Mark Carney has led the Liberal Party to retain power, though a bit short of majority. It's a stunning political comeback in a country bracing for economic turbulence and rising tensions with the United States. Here's the latest.
In an election watched closely on both sides of the border, Mark Carney's Liberals have clinched victory, securing 164 seats in Canada's House of Commons, but falling just short of the 172 needed for a majority. The new Prime Minister now faces a divided Parliament and an even more divided continent. It is indeed a dramatic comeback for the Liberals, and many factors contributed to this turnaround. Just months ago, the Liberals were 20 points behind in the polls. Then Justin Trudeau stepped down as Prime Minister. Trudeau's departure was crucial to the Liberal win. Carney distanced himself from Trudeau throughout the election campaign. He blamed Trudeau on not doing enough to grow Canada's economy. Carney scrapped a controversial Trudeau tax on carbon emissions. He promised to face America's economic aggression with economic firepower.
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen.
On Monday night, as results rolled in, cheers erupted at Liberal headquarters in Canada.
Very excited. I feel like there was a lot on the line, a lot at stake for this election, and I'm really glad it happened so quickly as well. We thought it was going to be a lot closer, but it's really looking good for the Liberals. So.
It's very exciting. I mean, it feels so early in the night to have that sort of outcome expectation, but it's just very exciting to be here on such a historical night and important night for young people like me. You know, it feels like we have a lot at stake.
Across the aisle, Conservative leader P.A. Poilievre conceded defeat, but struck a tone of unity, vowing to work with Carney to protect Canadian sovereignty and secure a better trade deal with Washington.
We will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts these tariffs behind us while protecting our sovereignty and the Canadian people.
Carney now faces a daunting dual challenge of steering a minority government at home and squaring off with a hostile US administration abroad. Voters are betting on his crisis management skills to hold the line. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Mark Carney on his election victory in Canada. In a post on X, Prime Minister Modi wrote, and I quote, "Congratulations, Mark Carney, on your election as the Prime Minister of Canada and to the Liberal Party on their victory. India and Canada are bound by shared democratic values and a steadfast commitment to the rule of law and vibrant people-to-people ties. I look forward to working with you to strengthen our partnership and unlock greater opportunities for our people." Unquote. Addressing the YUGM Innovation Conclave, Prime Minister Modi highlighted that the trinity of talent, temperament and technology will transform India's future. The Prime Minister also stressed the importance of strengthening India's research ecosystem to achieve national goals, highlighting the establishment of state-of-the-art research parks and creation of research and development cells in nearly 6,000 higher education institutions.
टैलेंट, टेम्परामेंट और टेक्नोलॉजी की ट्रिनिटी ही भारत के भविष्य को ट्रांसफॉर्म करेगी। इसके लिए हम भारत के बच्चों को बचपन में ही जरूरी एक्सपोजर दे रहे हैं। इसके लिए जरूरी है कि हमारा पूरा रिसर्च इकोसिस्टम एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशन से लेकर इन्वेस्टर्स और इंडस्ट्री तक हर कोई रिसर्च के साथ खड़ा हो, उन्हें गाइड करे। इंडस्ट्री लीडर्स इस दिशा में एक कदम और आगे ला सकते हैं और वो हमारे युवाओं का मार्गदर्शन कर सकते हैं, फंड की व्यवस्था कर सकते हैं और साथ मिलकर नए सॉल्यूशन डेवलप कर सकते हैं।
And that's it in this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR codes that you see on your screen to download now. We'll be back as more news breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from our entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Have a good day. Bye-bye.